Hiya!
Now that we got the rollers off the roller frame, we can kind of look at them and get a little bit more information on, you know, kind of what's bad and what's not. This is the front of the tractor, so this would be, you know, up by the idler, and this is the back of the tractor. This will be back, this is the closest one to the drive sprocket. And usually, the rollers toward the rear tend to be more, they wear out quicker, they, you know, end up having a lot more problems. Hence, two of these rings had broken off. And so, you know, that roller is shot. I mean, definitely, I don't want to mess with it. I've got other ones. Now, there's two types of rollers. There's the double flange, essentially like this one, where it's got, you know, two rings on either side to guide the chain. And then there's single flange. And this looks broken, and honestly, it might have been a double flange originally, and somebody just cut the single or cut the inner out, but it was made to be a single. And so, basically, the single just has the outside edges. Now, as to the reason, I don't know. The roller setup should look something like this. Starting from the front of the tractor here, there should be a double, then it should be a single, two doubles, and a single. And so currently, the way that it's set up is a double, a single, a double, a single, a double. And so it wasn't in the correct order according to the manual. Now, I don't know the reason for that, and so if you do, I mean, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. I'm curious. And I'm also curious to know why there are doubles and why there are singles. Why aren't they all double? It just seems to me like that'd be, you know, normal thing. So, for whatever reason, these weren't in the right order that they should have been. Of the four of them, you know, that one's bad. This one's got the inner is really worn down. This one is decent. This one is broken, and this one is good. So these two are potentially reusable. These three are not. And so I'm gonna basically work on getting some of the other rollers and going through those and trying to figure out what's good and going from there. So I'm working on picking out the best rollers of what I have, and this is one of the better ones, and this plug from one of the other ones is better too, but it doesn't want to go in real nice, so I'm going to clean it up with the tap. Yeah, there we go. That's how it should be. This is on the other side of the tractor. This is the other track, and I want to open up this little bird's nest of wonderful redneck engineering and see what we have going on with this tensioning adjuster for the track. Looks like we got the same setup with 2 pieces of pipe and some pipe clamps, which leads me to believe that this is also stripped out just like the other side. So I'm definitely going to need 2 of these nuts and probably 2 screws as well. Alright, so I'm wondering how much of these threads is left, so I'm gonna wire wheel them out real quick, and we'll see. Well, still quite a bit of thread. I don't know how tall they should be, and down here it looks like there's a lot more, and so really if I had the right length of chain, and maybe I'll take like a 1 track link out, and then that will, you're only supposed to have 4 inches of basically travel for your adjustment at the most. That's what the manual says, and really it was pretty much extended past 4 inches. It might have been 4.5. So these threads further closer to this nut look better, and so that's encouraging, but until I have a nut to screw onto it, I won't know how well it'll bite. But for now, I'm going to leave the spring alone, leave this bolt alone, and work on trying to get the right adjusting setup for it. So. That magnet's not strong enough. Should be though, it's 1,000 pounds. This thing doesn't weigh 1,000 pounds. I can move it. These are the Grouser pads, essentially the track pads, and the ones on this chain are actually much better than on the other chain that I'm going to use. So the plan is to take them all off and reuse them on the new chain. So that's what I'm going to work on now. And I've got the swinch out here, nut busting. And that's a lesson on how to break ratchet. Alright, one more on this one. Come on now. Yeah, finally. Check this out. When I got done taking all the track pads, there was one of them that was welded to it, and I didn't know why it was welded to it. And now that I got it apart, you can see right here, this track link was cut right there, and same on the bottom. And so they cut it because they couldn't get the pin out, and then just welded it back together. Welded it to the track pad, welded it to each other, welded it on both sides, and then just ran it like that. You know, at the end of the day, whatever, it worked. I mean, from my perception, all I thought was the track pad was welded to the link. I didn't realize that they had welded it to put the track link back together. So, you know, just another one of those farm fixes that got them through the day. So here's the other track roller frame for the side that I actually ripped off. The front idler, I'll show it to you in a bit, but the far side, the actual wheel has a crack in it, and somebody for some reason or another cut the nut and tensioning adjuster right in the middle. Maybe they needed a little piece of tube, I don't know. Whatever. There is a chance that nut right there might actually come off of the screw and be usable. I don't know, we'll see. But for right now, I'm going to pull this idler off because it's really just kind of barely sitting there. And I'm looking at this. This might be the track roller frame that goes back on. The recoil spring's in better shape. The far right around here is not scabbed together with crappy welds. It's straighter. There are some broken bolts that I'll have to get out of it. but all in all, it's in pretty good shape. So I'm going to start by getting that idler off. And what are we binding on? So right here you can see that idler and how bad it got. It was all kinds of cracked right around here. The crack continues all up here, all the way around there. Somebody at one point, looks like they tried to weld that. It cracked again. It's literally cracked from here to like there, all the way around on this side. And this side looks great. You would never even know. When I first saw this one in the weeds, I thought to myself, oh wow, that's a nice, usable additional idler wheel. But it's completely destroyed on that side, the other side. It might have good parts for the pin though. I may take this apart and see if I can salvage the pin, because I'm going to need that for the other one that's going to go on the front of the side that we've already torn off. And for whatever reason, there was like all this like wire jammed in around the bad side. You know, it looks like they tried to wedge a piece, or that might be part of the rim that went bad. But there was just all this like twine and wire, and maybe it drove through something and got all caught up in there. I don't know. That's how you break a breaker bar. There we go. Not a bad one either. Oh well. So, on this other track, there's actually a nut and a screw, and I'm not sure if it's good, so right now we're trying to get this nut off. So that's what we're working on right now. So are you concentrating on that flat for one reason or another, or just that's what you did?
If you think about it, even if it's a full circle and you heat up one spot, it'll grow. And if I put the heat too long in one spot, it'll melt it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean that flat, like that face of the nut?
Well, I don't think I have enough heat. This is where a rosebud would work better.
Okay.
Because
to spread that.
Yeah, I would come over here and over here and over here like this with a rosebud, because it would put so much more heat in it.
That makes sense.
But it might take 10 minutes of doing this and not seeing it red, because it's cooling over here while I'm heating over here.
Yeah. Okay.
Right here, if I'm concentrating, you can see it starting to glow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I'm trying to do, is get a spot that's glowing, and then keep making that spot bigger. I'm not that lets it also get deeper. This is a thick chunk of tubing, you know, a big nut. You know, you even heating the edge a lot. You can look at how far the heat goes in it. You're almost melting the top. And the heat's only halfway through it.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I'm wanting them to get penetrating through with the heat.
Because really,
So that the
now,
inside goes too.
is there, in this situation, is it more likely that the threads closer to the outside are the ones that are really locked up?
I would say it's all going to
It
be
would-
locked. I'm trying to make the whole nut flow, and then ideally, so then I'll have thermal expansion of letting go of the threads on that back.
Yeah. And then when we crank on it with pipe,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So go ahead and get your wrench set up and see if this is right.
Yep. Alright, so ready for your left one coming down.
Let me go push that hot tube on that. Let's see what we can do here then.
Threads look nice, pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a good sign. You can actually use it if you want it.
Might be good enough to get it working for the winter.
It's a workout.
It is. I didn't think I'd stay so skinny.
Finding stuff like this to do every
Moving
day.
shit like this. That means it's getting looser. A lot looser. Yeah, really loose actually. It's gotta be toward the end. That's about 5 inches. Oh. Oh yeah. Wow. You might actually have threads. Might have threads in there. Wow. Cool.
So we got the rock guard torched off, and all 5 of these rollers on this roller frame are actually free and in very good shape. They're all rolling really well. So the plan is, I'm not going to use this frame at all. We had to torch the bolts off, they're so locked up. So these are probably also locked up. I can't get any of them. So the plan is to torch all of the bolts off for these rollers so that I can use the rollers. Right now I'm working on the oil plugs. I got all 4 of these done, and I'm down to this one. So I want to open them up. So far they've all been full of grease, and that's the hope that this last one is, and you know, that's the best case scenario. Wow, that one came really easy. Now I see oil. Well, it's still full of grease, so that's a great sign. Thought for a second there was some grit in it, but I think it's just, I don't even feel any sand or anything in it. It's just old. Cool. That's what I wanted to see. So for right now, I'm just cleaning up these plugs, covering them with a little grease, and then putting it back in. So this is the extra track roller frame that would fit the side that we've already taken off. And it's in much better shape. And as of right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 broken bolts that I have to get off. So I'm gonna work on doing that now. And just like that, we're reined in. Well, after that little rain, obviously we had some flash rusting here, but I'm going to take a different approach this time. I think I'm going to grind these flat and then try and drill them out. You think that's okay, Scout? I think Scout agrees. So we're going to go with that route. Right, Scout? Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, you're a good girl. Hey, guys. Hi, Ruby. Ruby. Come here, Bodie. Come here, Lane. Come here. Good girl, Lane. Good girl. Yeah. Good girls. Good girls. All right, go. Go. Back up. Alright, so on this roller frame, the back edge that basically the roller would go right here. This back edge is starting to get worn in, and so I'm going to grind this out and then build it up with some weld here and on both of the front ones to make it a little bit better, a little bit more the way it should look like. It should look a little bit more like that. And so basically this back edge has worn out on this other track roller frame. So we're going to build that up and make it look a little better. Alright, so the plan here is I've got this old chisel for a hammer. It's hardened steel. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the end off, cut this off, and I'm going to basically make it fit right here. And then that way it's got something a little bit hardened to wear into, because obviously we don't want it wearing too far into this. And I'm using this because it's hardened. I mean, I could use mild steel. I've got plenty of it, but I think I want to use that. So we'll see how it goes. We'll give it a try. Got it all cut out. Basically this is going to sit right in there. I'll cut it off like right in here-ish. And I'll weld this in, I'll weld the other side in, and we'll blend it with the grinder. Then that way it gives it similar look, but also fills that gap in so more crap can't get packed down in there. So I think that's the plan. These back areas also had some cracks in them. They weren't nearly as bad as the front was, but my on this one you can see I've already filled it in with some weld, kind of built it up and ground it around. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to call these like runners or something. I don't know. They're part of the track frame that is, this is the bottom. And so I'm going to fill this in with some weld similar to this side, so it just looks nicer and doesn't end up filling up with dirt and crap like that, so that it doesn't cause any additional problems. Alright, so right now I'm working on getting all these track pads off of the old track chain so that we can offer them up to every one of you guys that wants a piece of old red. So we're going to work on torching those off now. Well, I was gonna start working on these broken bolts, but it's starting to rain. A little harder than a sprinkle now. Boom, got it out. Now we're gonna run a tap through it. Smoking hot, smoking. Yeah, baby, these threads are good. Sweet. Heck yeah. All right, I am glad I brought it in here to finish up, get these bolts out. So I got all the bolts out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 broken bolts in this frame, which honestly, it was a lot of work, and I had a lot of times in the process where I was like, screw it, I'm gonna use the older frame. But this one's in better condition, the spring's in better condition, the screw is in absolutely great shape. Very, very, very strong threads. Now, of all the bolts I removed, 2 of them are bad. Essentially, this one barely has any threads left in it, so I'm gonna have to do something. I think the plan on that one is to drill it out and tap it with a size larger, which might mean I have to drill out and tap or drill out the what it mounts on the machine so that the hole can handle a bigger bolt. But I think that's better than a helicoil, because then I'm not worried about a helicoil or something coming out. A helicoil is like an insert that goes down into the hole that gives you your threads back. And they're great on stuff like engine blocks and stuff like that that you can't really do anything else other than to put threads into something. But with this, it's a hole that goes straight through to, you know, an open cavity, and it doesn't really matter. And so I just want strong threads there. And then this hole here is pretty bad. It's pretty well stripped out. All in all, I'm pumped. I got pretty much everything on the frame ready to rock and roll now. It's just time to start reassembling, putting everything back together. So this hole is no longer usable. It was 3/4 10. Now I'm gonna change it to 7/8 9. And so I've got a bolt that'll fit. Got the taps out of my box. Only problem is you have to drill a 49/64 hole in whatever you're doing to tap that size. Well, that's fine and all, because I have some massive sizes, including, you know, this is a smaller one actually, 49/64, but it is a #2 Morse taper. Well, I've got tons and tons of adapters, so I found a #2 Morse taper adapter, and I literally just made it fit into the 1/2-inch chuck on this drill. And so I really would love to have, or find an old mag drill to restore, be perfect for this, but since I don't have one, this is where we're at. So we're gonna use this, and hopefully we can drill out this hole. I guess we'll find out. Almost there. Good thing I don't have to do many of these, just the one. Terrible, terrible way to do this. Probably should have done this earlier. Maybe a little oil. There we go. Well, we didn't destroy the drill bit, so that's good. So I don't have a good tap handle to hold this big tap, and obviously I just snapped that one right off. So, hug. Good thing I've got extras. And I'm sure that tap was quite expensive. Don't hit sideways on your taps. Ask me how I know. Go. Brand new threads for the brand new hole. Perfect. This hole right here that the upper carrier roller mounts to is pretty much stripped out. And so my plan is we're going to thread a bolt in there. There is still some threads and they're decent. There's enough room back here. I'm going to thread a nut onto the back of it, and we're going to weld that on to the actual back of this plate. And then that way it's got some additional threads without having to change the bolt size. I'll just make sure that I use a little bit of a longer bolt so it can get all the way down into those better threads. All right, so here's the bottom of the track frame. Right there's the nut that we're gonna weld right below the hole, and I'm keeping it straight with a bolt going through it, and then I've got another lock nut on top, basically tightening it up so it keeps it straight. So I'm gonna weld that nut right there in place, and that should give me the threads I need to properly secure the upper roller guide on this, in that hole. So that's how I'm gonna do it. A grinder and paint makes me the welder that I ain't. But that'll hold up fine. All right, sweet. Well, the roller frame is all prepped and ready to rock and roll. And so next up, we'll get the rollers installed on it. We'll figure out the tensioning setup. We'll start getting, there's a pin that goes over in one of those holes, and start getting it prepped to put back on the machine. So, yeah, lots of work. But I'm excited to run this bad boy.